Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Silicon Valley Brahma Kumaris. Raising Confident Kids is this parenting series we are starting today. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you and a hearty warm welcome. I am Meghna, the instrument soul or the facilitator of this series. And I am a student at Brahma Kumaris, and I've been a student for the last almost 7 years now. And I have seen huge benefits with this connecting with this organization, not only as an individual, but even as a parent. I am a parent of two kids, and I took this knowledge when one of my kid was a teenager and the other one was little further away from being a teenager. And yes, a lot of things I do wish that I could have done differently had I known this knowledge before. But what I've found in this last 6 years is that any mistake can be corrected. We just need to have that faith and patience and the courage and the love for ourselves that no, I can work hard, I can change myself, and I can change the mistakes I have made. And I have seen beautiful results with this knowledge. And confidence is something that, yes, there are multiple factors associated with it, but we know that it's a very key ingredient for success. Without confidence, life becomes very difficult. And as a parent, we have a very important responsibility to really build and instill this confidence in them. Yes, majority of the work is done by the kid and their own individual personality, but parents do play an important role. So the intent of this series is really to share ideas on what is the importance of confidence, what are the building blocks, and as a parent, what are few things we can do to instill confidence, and what are certain things we should avoid, if you all agree, which would really shake their confidence, right? And a lot of times we focus on so many different things, obviously as a parent thinking that this will help them be confident, but it's always good to do a reality check and see really, would this kind of effort and focus help my kids with confidence or not? So, without any further ado, we will get started. I will start off by sharing my screen first, and then do want to call out that we always start these sessions with a meditation. And the meditation is Raj Yoga meditation. Just a quick uh, information about Raj Yoga meditation. You don't need any kind of prior experience to practice it. It's really a very simple technique where we consciously create positive thoughts. In fact, I would call them elevated. It's radically positive. And that's why elevated thoughts about the self and every being, every situation in day to day life, we start thinking about ourselves and others in a very ordinary or derogatory manner. So, meditation is a tool where we can change the way we perceive ourselves and others. And this perception in practical life brings magical transformation. This has been my last 6 years. I've only been seeing magic and wonders. And many people who are associated with me, they feel and they've told me that they are seeing magic in my life, in all humbleness, just trying to motivate and inspire you on how powerful this meditation is. One simple thing that really helps in practicing this meditation is consider yourself to be sitting in a spiritual lab. So, I will be consciously creating positive thoughts out loud. And if you are able to accept those thoughts, because you're in a lab, you're experimenting, you're open minded, and once you accept these thoughts, your heart will start activating, and you will experience the emotions associated with the thoughts. Thoughts become feelings, and once an individual starts feeling powerful emotions in meditation, it's not a robotic, monotonous exercise anymore. It becomes a beautiful and powerful experience, and that's been my 6 years of kind of experimenting with this. It's been powerful. And once you experience peace or love in meditation, especially early in the morning, you'll feel as if throughout the day this peace is somewhere hidden, but yet with you all the time, right? So that's the power of this meditation. So, highly recommend to not challenge or question the thoughts. Just for some time, experiment, embrace them, and see how it feels. With that, we'll get started with the meditation. Just in the interest of the time and having a smooth kind of a class, what we have done is you will have the chance to ask question and answers towards the end of the class. We'll try to give at least 10 minutes in the end. If there are any questions related to this topic or whatever content we discussed in the next few minutes, feel free to bring them up. But other than that, please hold on to your questions. We will have a Q&A session in the end. So let's get started with the meditation. Let's sit comfortably and relax the mind and the body. It's very rare that the mind gets any rest. So let's withdraw our attention, our focus from everything external. Let go of work, home, people, past, the body's discomfort, inner storms. Even as the thoughts about the external world arise, let's just observe and remain calm. Let's take few deep breaths in silence. And now, let's take a journey within to be with the most neglected, yet the most beautiful being, I, the soul. Through our mind, let's travel away to a far off place, a beach where the sun is rising, and spreading beautiful glow in the entire sky. The reflection of the light on the water is like a shiny carpet inviting me to walk over and be with the sun, the light. The rhythmic sound of the waves are playing a silent music as if trying to welcome me. The trees and the wind are dancing in joy. What a beautiful scene. It pulls me into my inner world. And at this moment, in silence and stillness, I can see the goodness, the beauty that exists within me. When I'm caught up in the external world, it's hard to look within and connect with my core that is beautiful, spotless, pure. And nature, which is pure, benevolent, easily help me experience my purity, my innocence, my benevolence. Nature is always welcoming. It never discriminates. It welcomes every creature with the rhythmic music, with the glow of light, with the soothing breeze. And I, just like Mother Nature, is also non-discriminatory. I look at every being with regard. I use the light of knowledge that nobody is born mean. It's my responsibility to help every being by looking at them respectfully. Like the waves of the ocean, I make the rhythmic sound of appreciation, warmth, joy in my heart. My enthusiasm and zeal are the expression of a dancing tree. Thank you, Mother Nature, for helping me connect to my real self and to help me realize that I am already a beautiful being. I need no proof, no validation. It's an eternal reality that I am an elevated creation of God. Welcome everyone once again to Brahma Kumaris Silicon Valley, and we are starting a new series today, Raising Confident Kids. So we start off by defining what is self-confidence, right? The intent of this series, like I mentioned earlier, is really how to instill confidence as a parent. What can we do? Obviously, there is not everything that we can do to really make sure, but there is a lot of things that are in our control, and at least that we can take care of, right? So confidence, I think, is a well-known term and self-explanatory. Just wanted to highlight few things about it. It's really the perception that I have about myself, how I look at myself. Many people you might see have actually many talents and skill, and their perception about the self still might be very low. They consider themselves to be not good enough. And you can see it in their behavior, in the way they talk, and things like that. So, how do I perceive whatever self worth I have is an important thing of the building block for confidence. And what is my attitude about the self? Am I dismissive about the self? Am I dismissive about others so that I make sure that I am always higher? What is my attitude towards the self? How do I view myself? And then also, how accepting I am about myself. How much faith do I have in myself? Do I love myself even when I fail, even when I make terrible mistakes? Do I have love for myself even when I've failed repeatedly? And now we are not talking about blind love, right? Where there is this overconfidence or superiority complex where even if I make a mistake, so what? Everybody else makes, but I am better in so many different things. So I love myself. We are not talking about that kind of love, egoistic love, but really pure love, which never loses faith in the self that I can learn. Yes, I'm making mistakes and I'm taking time to learn, but I have utter confidence in myself that I will learn one day. How do we instill really in our kids that they perceive themselves in a very respectful manner, that their attitude about themselves is always optimistic, they never dismiss themselves or others? And how do we instill this confidence that they never lose faith in themselves, right? When we are helping, and there are multiple things we can do to instill confidence in all of these three components. And we will continue to talk about this in the upcoming classes. This series is of 5 classes every Sunday at same time, just as an FYI. And what happens, first of all, at Brahma Kumaris, we are always taught, that unless we understand the damage and the merit from a particular learning, whatever we are trying to learn, that subject, then we are not motivated and inspired to really learn it fully. And even if we are motivated and inspired, after some time we'll say, okay, and we forget about it. So once we understand the damage that occurs when the confidence of a child is shaky, then it inspires us to make those changes a lot faster in our life. Otherwise, many times we know why confidence is important, but when we don't understand it, the depth of its critical importance, then we forget about it and we procrastinate, saying, hey, I'm too busy at work, I'm too stressed, I can't give time to so many different aspects, and we start neglecting many things. So, first thing is automatically, right? Self confidence that is not very solid will end up many times in being low self esteem, and we all know all the kind of damages this causes, right? Very quickly they will have this kind of negative self talk, and so it's important to check, is my talk, is my internal conversation about the child matching any of these statements? You know, oh, my child is not perfect, my child is not good enough, my child, why is he making so many mistakes, or why is she not worthy enough, why she can't do this? Is my conversation this about my child? It is adding to their low self esteem. They might have this conversation internally, but if I am also, as a parent, having this conversation, then I'm adding to their low confidence. And, you know, a person with low confidence will succumb to peer pressure very easily. And especially, around 10 years old, nowadays, even earlier possible, approaching the teenage phase, that importance of wanting to look good with the friends increases, wanting to connect with many and all of those different things. And first 10 years are such important aspect of the kids, where we can actually put in all the seeds of important values and principles, whether it is from our own culture, religion, background, our own personal values, right? We can instill it in the kids. But if they don't have their self confidence, and if they feel the peer pressure, and if the peer is saying, watching all kinds of unethical or idiotic things is the cool thing, then they will give in. Wearing clothes that are not at all respectful is the in thing, then they will give in. So, yes, the idea is not to really stop them from gelling and being like their friends, but really instilling so much confidence that they are able to maintain their uniqueness. Even if for some time they shake and they start behaving like everybody else, they still should have this kind of confidence, where they're able to realize that this is not me. I cannot be like this. And they are able to quickly change themselves, right? So, and then if there is low confidence, and even if there is high confidence, there always this fear of being judged. What will people think? And one of my kid goes through this a lot. Even though the kid has a lot of beautiful things going, but constantly fears that they might be judged. And that's why doesn't want to speak up, doesn't want to participate in many things where they will come in the limelight. Why? What if I am not good enough? What if I am judged? And based on that judgment, I might not be liked. People will laugh at me. So how do we instill that confidence, that the kid is not scared of trying, of being judged? How will they feel that confidence when they know that their parent never judges them? No matter what, their parent is ready to hug them, even if they've lied 3 times. Yes, there would be some disciplinary action, but the parent is still willing to hug them and make them move forward. It's only when we at home give them this kind of comfortable and friendly environment that slowly that courage, that okay, you judge me. But I know my parents love me. I must be someone special and unique, so it does not matter. No confidence, automatically a very compromised life, right? Easily gives up. Little bit of a challenge, gives up. And what happens over the period of time? First the child gives up on big things, saying, no, this is not for me. I don't want to try this. There could be a leadership opportunity, or there could be something else, and quickly giving up. No, no, this is not for me. But in time, if we don't help them with this, they will start saying no to many, many small things too, thinking, no, I am not good enough. I don't think I have it in me to take this challenge up. So, automatically, without confidence, you're leading a very compromised life. At Brahma Kumaris, we are all taught, and for me, it started with an experimentation, but now it's a solid faith that each human being's potential is profound, mind blowing. Only a very small percentage really, utilize their potential to some extent, and handful utilize it fully. That much is how much confidence. How do we instill that confidence where the child has, first of all, we need to maintain as a parent that every child has potential, no matter how dark the current present looks. Till we don't have that hope, our attitude towards them will not change, and they've given up. And if I as a parent have given up on them, automatically the child's life is going to be a compromised life one. So yes, it is to some extent lot of work for us, but it's not physical work. It's really a lot of mental work that parents have to do at the thought level. What kind of thoughts in the form of vibrations am I sending my child? If my child is saying, I give up, am I also matching that frequency and saying, really, my child has no hope? And we are not saying, this is an exaggeration where we are completely giving up, but even in small, small aspects, am I giving up that my child will never change here? My child might have given up. Have I also given up? So this is important to check. Many times, in fact, I would say what many times, pretty much almost every day we have to make decisions. There are constantly different paths, and especially for a young child or growing up to be a young adult, they have many paths that their friends are showing. The TV, the social media is showing, everybody is pulling them in different direction. Do they have the confidence to take the right path? Or are they confused? The parents are telling them something, friends are saying something, social media is saying something, teachers are saying something. How do we instill that love and confidence in them that they are making the right decisions? And, failure. Fear of failure is a huge thing, and there is really a lot of incorrect belief system. This is my take at it. Some people, some parents including, I've heard, believe in fear of failure leads to success. This is a very popular statement, and as per me, this is a very, very wrong belief system that creates all kinds of issue in a child's life. Now, fear, everybody would agree universally that's a very negative emotion. Failure is a negative word. So now fear and failure, two negative words, will actually lead to something positive, which is success. How? We need to ask this question ourselves, like how everything is negative. The child will be constantly in fear of failing. We are constantly pressuring, you will not succeed, you will not get a job, you will not get into college, you will not do well, this will happen to you, that will happen to you. Instill that fear that you will fail, you will not do well, and then we are thinking they will actually be successful. Possible in the short term. They might be starting to focus and feel the pressure and maybe get into a little bit of grades. But what I have seen with many of my friends who were brought up with this kind of fear of failure pressure, they have given up now. They don't have any aims. They just want to do the bare minimum. They don't enjoy work at all. They don't enjoy too many hardship in the family life, constantly complain. So is that success? Getting grades, okay, maybe that pressure worked. Majority of the times I feel it will not work. And still, it's good to check if the child has fear of failure, where they are doubting everything good they are doing. How will they succeed? How can this kind of negative emotion lead to success that will give me confidence? Big question that we should ask ourselves. And seeking other people's approval. When I am low in confidence, or even when I'm high in confidence, this is one thing that happens. Because if I was solid in confidence, then I would never seek other people's approval. It does not matter. And it's not in an insensitive or a rude manner. It basically means, okay, you're not giving me approval. In fact, you're giving me maybe criticism or something. That's fine. I have the faith that I can learn and improve. Or if your criticism is completely invalid, doesn't matter. I don't need your approval. I know who I am. I know I am good at this. That's the kind of confidence we want our kids to have, right? And they will not seek other people's approval if they have their parents' blessings, their approval at every moment, not just at the word level, but even at the thought level. Parents are constantly approving that this child has potential. Doesn't mean that the parents don't look um, at their mistakes or their weaknesses and not help them come out of it. But there is this vision that they have about their child, that we approve you because you have high potential and you will get there in time. With some work, you will get there. When they have this kind of pure approval from the parent, the kids don't need, and we prepare them then so well to be ready for criticism and praise, to not be carried away by the praise and not to be heartbroken with the criticism. So here are all the different things, some things that we brought forward with confidence, right? When there is lack of confidence or there is overconfidence, all of these things that we mentioned start showing up. So before we get into really how, confidence can be built, which we will talk about in length with a lot of simple ideas, more of work involved ideas and so on in the upcoming classes. But really, let's just take a step back and think about what are some short-term and long-term goals we have for our kids. Or maybe the kids, we shouldn't be saying we have for our kids, but really, what are some short-term and long-term goals of our kids? How do we want to envision those? Because without having really a North Star, really that far-fetched goal in the parent's eye, we might be pushing them towards only certain short-term goals, which are very important, like this beautiful picture I feel is depicting. These short-term goals indeed are helping us move towards that bigger goal in life. But many times we as parents forget what that bigger goal is. And indeed, the child will reach that goal on their own. We are just, as parents, a facilitator to help them reach there, right? To gently guide them. It's not our responsibility to help them walk and reach there, really. It's really just a gentle guidance. So not that pressure that, oh my gosh, I have to take my kid all the way here and make them climb there. No. because this path will change. The child gets to decide. Yes, we will guide. And in the young ages, we will be more of a strict guide where we say no to certain things. And as they grow older, we let them make a lot more free choices, unless it's a safety or a security or a health related issue, right? That's when we make a very strict call that, hey, no, no step on this. So, very, very important to understand, because if we don't keep this picture in our mind, we put lot of our efforts and sometimes push really a strong pressure on so many such short term things which will never get them ready to face life when they grow up. Because as a parent, our biggest responsibility, I feel at least, is, and if you all agree, is really to make them this person, independent person, who's able to manage every aspect of their life beautifully, who's a well versed person, who's respectful towards everyone, right? We don't want them to be only focused on one aspect of the life. And if we many times put so much pressure on one aspect, we might be unknowingly taking away so much of their power that they can't manage any aspect of their life independently. So many times it's good to constantly sit as a parent in meditation and say, what is my role as a parent? What do I really have that long term goal as? Till we don't bring this up every day, we will get caught up in these small, small rocks and not even realize that how hard we are pushing them, and completely we've lost sight of the bigger goal. So yes, all these short-term goals, just mentioning few of them, there could be variety of them. And again, not saying that these are not important. They are all important. But what is really the long-term goal? What is that big long-term goal I want for my child? And I would really encourage all of you to reflect upon this today. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. Procrastination is another habit that we all have. Highly recommend today. Think about this. What is it that I really want? What do I want my child to be like when they grow up? And because many times when we make academic everything, right? Because, oh, without academic they won't get into college, oh, without sports they can't get into college, without a good college they won't get into the job, and yes, they need to have some life skills too, blah blah blah. We forget that, are we, by putting too much pressure in certain aspect, taking away a lot of different things from them? And that could be whenever we feel too much pressure on short-term goals, our behavior towards them, is it respectful? Not just at the word level, even at the thought level. Am I still respectful of my child? When they are not doing all the life skills, we are trying to teach them, but they are not. So how do I keep that big vision and still maneuver them in all of this, is an important art as a parent that we all need to learn. But we won't be able to do that if we lose sight of the North Star. What do I want my child to be like when they grow up? Many times parents think, hey, I always wanted to be a CEO. I never was, so I want my child to be a CEO. The child might not want to be a CEO. The child's dream might be completely different. But no, I wanted to be a CEO. So I keep pushing in all of those directions so that they can become the CEO. It's very important to check all of these factors because we have many hidden desires and agendas that we put on our kids, and we expect them to fulfill those needs and desires by putting name, hey, I'm wanting all this only for your own good. You will be more secure, you will be more safe when you become a CEO, right? So, highly important to spend some time on this aspect because we will get lost and also cause our kids to be lost. They will, I mean, they clearly don't have this vision yet, especially the young ones, even the teenagers, unless they have a lot of maturity, which is a rare quality. It's very hard for them to have this long term goal. So, as a parent, I need to have that vision. What will life require them? What are the most important skills? So, here comes, maybe gives you some visual of what that North Star for your child might be for you, right? Again, the child will have their own long term goal, which will shape up, and they are the ones who will shape up. But we as a parent play a very important role in gently guiding them towards that so that they find it very easily when they are ready, right? They are not lost in useless things or over investing in one aspect of life and losing out on every other aspect of life, right? For many people, work is life. Academics is life, this is life, that is life, but life is much bigger than that. And we really don't need just ordinary confidence. I especially feel in this today's world, we need some unlimited confidence to handle life. Why? Because there are just too many changes happening in this world. It's not at all a stable world. Everyone would agree. So if I have to survive in this kind of a world where everything changes, there are constant challenges, downfalls, hardships, then what do I need to survive as an adult? Right? So, unlimited confidence in handling everything that life presents. And what does life present? Just want to grow over some of the things that life presents at all of us and will present, including our kids, right? They will get a lot of praise. We all go through phases where everything is going green, right? It's like a job, everybody's praising, great projects are coming, there's just progress, 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 and then suddenly something goes wrong. And then there's criticism, there is a downtime. How do we make sure that kids are able to handle all of this when they grow up, right? And this is the fertile time where we put all kinds of seeds. It's very easy to put these seeds now when they are young so that they are ready, that nothing shakes them, that much confidence they have, right? And yes, life will present many, many challenges at them, right, in variety of forms, not just at work or in college or in school, but even in relationships. There are many kinds of challenges, maybe health issues. How am I preparing them as a parent? Are they ready to handle all kind of challenges? Or as a parent, I am always crying whenever I see a challenge in my child's life, like they worked hard but they got a C. I find like I'm sitting and crying with my child. Then is my child ready to handle the challenges? We all know the answer, no, right? So, yes, we have to ask ourselves these questions, that if I am sitting and crying with the child on small, small challenges they're facing now, it could be even a bigger challenge. Maybe their health is not that great. They always go through something. But again, as a parent, what is my responsibility? There is not a single being in this world that has not seen any challenge, whether it is the richest, the youngest, you name it. Everyone goes through challenges. So I have to check when a challenge comes, how am I thinking? How am I being with my child? Setbacks will happen, right? We will see it. And this is exactly where we were talking about. Everything is going great, 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 and suddenly things are going wrong. Maybe they started a new career and suddenly that company is going bankrupt. They're laying off people, or they're not even, they were doing so great in college, all A's and everything, and now they're not even finding a job due to COVID. How do I get them ready for this kind of setbacks? What are the skills that are needed? We all know there are many skills and there's never ending. Suppose my child does not have quite a few skills. Do they have the confidence to still take up that challenge? Or are they going to say, hey, this skill is lacking in me, I better avoid, I will make a fool of myself. I would rather not take this up versus learn and make a fool of myself. So, what is that teaching I can instill in my child today? Right? Otherwise, they give up. I don't have this, I don't think I know this, but what is my commentary to them? No, you don't have it. So what? I'll be there for you. You can learn, you can improve. What is my commentary? Yes, the idea is not to push them for everything, and they might not be interested. That's a different story. But we have this open, friendly conversation with the child, and they are expressing, I want to try, but I don't want to try. I don't have this also. I don't have that also. As a parent, what is my responsibility? What can I do? Because all of these things they are also seeing now. It's not like they're not seeing it now. It's just that when they become an adult, these magnify, these problems magnify. And if they don't have the confidence, how do they handle all of these things that are bound to come? Right? So, yes, our goal is not just to have this small set of confidence that, hey, you got an A, my child is the smartest, and wow, 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 and then but my child is not doing well in all the other things. Oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? Not that kind of a shaky confidence, but how do I instill that unlimited confidence that nothing disturbs them? Maybe they grow up, they have all kinds of financial issues, a lot of um, debts and loans that they have. Can they still maintain confidence that that's okay, I will figure it out, I can get rid of this, I can handle it? Failure, their own failures, they are failing terribly, they're trying, they are failing. Can they still continue to try, or do they give up? These are lot of things that the personality is getting formed now. A lot of the personality is already built when a child is born. We will talk about that in the upcoming classes, but there is a lot that is getting built even now at every moment. And yes, the biggest responsibility is on the child themselves, but as a parent, we can really be the instrument to guide them in that right direction of having unlimited confidence to deal with everything that life is going to throw at them. Right? And really, when they end up in this kind of a path where there are multiple directions, they are easily able to decide this is the right path, no doubts at all. Nowadays, I find many people, oh gosh, I don't know, this also seems right, this also seems right, I don't know, can you tell me what I should do? And suppose they start asking their friends and end up in a bad spot, right? How do we generate that confidence that they know clearly what is the right path? And even if that turned out to be a wrong path and caused them failure, they still are ready to get up and try again. So that's the kind of, readiness we want our kids to be. And yes, there will be at times really lot of hardship as well. The clouds just don't seem to be going away at all. And even in those times, can a child remain confident? This kind of confidence is possible. I have seen people who are extremely positive, and yes, a lot of it goes to the kind of upbringing and environment they received in their childhood. And I am actually a very perfect example. I come from a very ordinary, below ordinary background, but never did my parents let me feel that we are in a very, very ordinary place. We always felt special. We always felt we have everything. And they went through a lot of different challenges. But yet there was so much positivity that for me, remaining positive due to that upbringing has been a lot more easier. I wouldn't say it was, I'm perfectly positive. Yes, I've gotten a lot better in the 6 years, but those early upbringing years has helped me be a positive person in the first place. And yes, this knowledge at Brahma Kumaris is helping me move further along in the right direction. But I feel it's important to keep all of these things which are going to come to our kids' way in our vision when we are guiding them in our day to day life. What are we doing to help them be ready for all of this? And I think I can say very confidently there's not going to be a single one who's not going to face all of these things in their life, right? So, actually, let's stop here and we will continue this tomorrow, or sorry, next week, next Sunday, just because I want to leave some time for Q&A. Did want to just quickly inform that Raj Yoga meditation course, it's a free course, is starting next Saturday. And here are the timings. And on your chat window, you will have the links to register. It's also here. And on Saturday, the coming Saturday, January 9th, 12 to 1, we have a webinar on the magic of simplicity. It's a beautiful topic on how abundance is really in the full heart and not a full house. So highly recommend, especially this Raj Yoga meditation course. It has changed my life. It teaches how you can meditate, connect to yourself and the supreme soul. And and it's all free, like I said. So before we start the meditation, let's spend some time in Q&A. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question if you have any. No questions? Let me see, maybe in the, okay, yeah, chat is just,
So, hello, sister. I have just one question.
sure.
First of all, Om Shanti.
Om
From my,
Shanti.
let's consider you shared a very good thought on how to change kids, how to say, livings and all when they start um, uh, their life. Now, looking at today's world, you see that there are a huge amount of uh, social media and like Facebook and all to which the children get used to and all, yeah, and at a very small time frame they uh, have let's say they get used to it, and this causes a big problems, right? By having certain devices or mobile phones or something at a very small age, which causes problems right later on. So, what could be a possible uh, way to handle such kind of situations where kids get used to this kind of stuff?
Yeah, yeah. No, it is indeed an important concern that exposure to devices is a lot more than it was ever before, especially for me. We didn't even have a TV for a very long, long time. Again, coming from a very ordinary background. So it is indeed a shocking change in culture, at least for me as I raised my kids. But few things I was able to do, and it might not be applicable now because my kids are now a lot grown up, is that we didn't get them phones till they were really in high school. So we
Mm,
did one restriction. And even after they got, I think there was a connection where, when you're eating or when you're doing things that you
mm,
cannot be on the phone. So there are certain rules that we need to put forward the moment they're even before they're getting the phone, right? That hey, if you
mm,
don't follow the rule, this is what will happen, that the device will be taken away for so many days. And even if you have to get the device as a necessity, can we get them that just that flip-flop thing, even though they cry that hey, this is not the cool thing, say don't need to show it to anyone, right? This is just for making urgent phone calls. So there are certain things that we can hold, but also we also have to understand their point of view. If they are feeling left out and if they don't have that confidence and they feel they need to show off the phone, yes, sometimes we might have to compromise and give them that so that they get that immediate boost. But
mm,
at the same time, we need to acknowledge that we need to do a lot more work
mm,
of really making sure that this child feels lot of love, lot of
mm,
acceptance from us, that they never have to get this acceptance from the friends in this manner, right? And
mm,
even if we give them that phone, yes, certain rules and regulations on how much you're going to use it will be needed, for sure. But all I can say is, I think at after a while, given that the schools are also presenting a lot of their homework, everything is online, everything
mm.
is on the net. It's going to be hard for us to restrict
Restrict
anything,
them. Mm,
right? So for what I have seen with my kids is that their study and their chat is ongoing. It's together. So
mm,
for me, that was completely no, no, but I can't put that condition in front of them. But yes, there is this certain very young age thing that it's your responsibility to maintain your grades. And if that responsibility is not happening, a lot of things will be taken away, including the connection to the internet after a certain time. So there are certain things where we need to be little strict. But the biggest thing I think helps is having this friendly relationship with the child
mm.
majority of the times, but yet the child knowing that when my parent says no, it means no.
So,
So, yeah,
does it mean that make we need to make a balance, right? More or less between the things that we want to share with our kids and that they don't use it of excess path. On the other hand, they also follow the paths that we want them to go in the future to have a happy life, right? There.
yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm,
What I have found is that I do let my kids, for example, they like certain types of junk food, eating
mm,
out, all of those
mm.
things. And if I keep saying no, then I become the bad person.
Yes.
So I want to be their friend, but at the same time, being their friend, allowing them to do that, and still saying, well, it's like, okay, now happy you ate, we ate your food, you're happy. I said, well, you should be happy. I didn't ask you to eat my food for my sake. It is benefiting you. How is it benefiting me? I had to actually cook, right? So
Mm,
I have to literally give them this logic that whatever I am telling you is not for my good or for my bossiness.
mm,
There
mm,
is a hidden benefit for you. And when we do it with so much love, and understanding that yes, you like to eat out, that's the cool thing, it's fine, but we keep instilling these seeds that how this damages, what are the things, very not like pushy, oh my gosh, you're eating this will happen, that will happen, how come, how much are you going to eat, and no, but very gentle seeds of the damages of this eating out frequently or watching non-stop TV. This thing will prevent them from overdoing any of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's my full faith that I've seen with my kids, money related. Nowadays, kids have no value for money. But I did put this as an Indian, majority of us are taught a lot of importance of money. I instilled it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my young son, who's an adult, not almost an adult, who is an adult, is very careful with money. He did not agree with what I was saying earlier as a kid, but now agrees. So, yes, it might look like our efforts are going wasted, but when done with love and we keep putting those seeds will grow up
Right. Mm-hmm.
eventually. That's the faith I maintain, and I'm seeing the results.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I have a question.
Sure. A last one, and then we will continue next week. Please go ahead.
I think there are a couple of parts of my question. The one of them is that I think the communication is most important
Yes.
in order to build confidence with your children. And one of the ways I thought, or I think we can all try, is to align with their interests first. Listen to them, understand what perspective they're coming from, and align with their interest, and then only you can instill some of the things, because the first thing is to build a rapport with them, and then you can empower them. And the second part of my question was, or comment, is that in order to empower your children, it's a good idea that if they're scared of something, that I can't do it, I don't have confidence, do with them, but don't do it for them. Do it with them, standing behind and supporting them, and let them complete it. And then we can discuss what went wrong, and things like that. And then we can improve. What do you think of that?
Sure. No, all great tips. Yes. Please keep them coming. Um,
I actually wouldn't mind talking to you, Meghna, sometime. If it is possible, I'll send you an email,
um, sure, we can connect.
because you seem to have a lot of experience and going through the family, which is good.
So
Excellent presentation.
Yeah, actually, one on one, we'd rather that the conversation happens here as much as possible. But
Okay.
it's best to connect with the center for any questions. But happy to
Okay.
connect over email if needed. But yeah,
So one of
let's.
the things I wanted to ask was that, is it possible to see the copy of the slides, or how does that happen?
So the recording will be on YouTube, our YouTube channel, the Brahma Kumaris Silicon Valley YouTube channel. So that's where you can connect to it.
Okay, good.
Or
Thank you.
the
Very good presentation.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll practice meditation. If you have time, please stay back. I am a pure being of light, the most elevated creation of God. I, the soul, is playing the role of a parent, and it's my responsibility to maintain regard, love, faith in the child. The role does require me to facilitate financially, physically, but my most important responsibility is to provide emotional support when I, as a parent, give up or lose hope. Then those vibrations, without any words, travel and hit the core of the child. It becomes challenging for a child with low vibration energy to rise up. So I promise myself that I, the pure, benevolent, and loving being, will maintain pure and powerful vision for my child. Thank you everyone for joining me today. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you again next Sunday.
Om Shanti, sister. Thank you.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
My
Om
pleasure.
Shanti.
Om Shanti, sister.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Excellent presentation, Meghna.
Thank you.
Om Shanti, Meghnati.
Om Shanti.